niggas linking up. Trail niggas linking up. Link up, my nigga, let's link up.
Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Link Up. As always, I'm your host, Ron the Don, and solo no more. As you can see, my co-host Ty, the one that they say usually look like D Wade, but one lady said he looked like Jason Terry. He back from celebrating with the Celtics. You see, he got the shades on. He's still a little hungover from the parade. You feel me? JT's biggest fan, my co-host Ty.
What's happening? What to do?
How you feeling?
Everything good. How you doing?
And I'm all right, man. Just taking it one day at a time. I definitely got some stuff I gotta get off my chest on this episode. So we ain't gonna waste no time. This past week, the NBA crowned new world champions. Even though some people hate that term, world champions of what? But world champions in the NBA, the Boston Celtics. They get the tiebreaker over the Lakers. They win a 18th, right? 18th championship or
18th,
19th?
yeah.
18th championship. So yeah, they win that in 5 against the Mavericks. It was really, no contest out the gate. Everybody thought after that game 4, Dallas blew them out, that it was, possibly gonna go 7 games. If you watched the pod last week, I told y'all, the Celtics they're not, they're not that bad. They ain't that sad. They wasn't gonna let it get to that point. But overall, man, what did you think of this past NBA season? The Celtics run through the playoffs and everything. What is your take on all of that?
It's kind of no fault of the Celtics, but I would say out of probably the last maybe 5 to 10 NBA seasons, this probably has been the most underwhelming season in playoffs. The injuries, I think it kind of really showed in the ratings, the sure finals, but it kind of was one of them things where you had hope of certain matchups or certain things, and it just didn't come to fruition. So I would just say this couldn't help who's lined up in front of them. It's been times where they've been on the other side of the injury bug or bad matchups or whatever the case may be, and they took their L's. So you can't really be mad at them, but to think about what could have been with these playoffs, it just kind of one of them things. It's like, Celtics won, but it don't give you that juice that normally when somebody wins, it's like, oh, they overcame this or they had to fight back from that. It was a different type of feeling in this season overall, but definitely these playoffs. So I mean, I'm kind of interested now to see the same roster pretty much. Can they run it back with everybody getting healthy and different roster moves that could potentially happen? With the monkey off their back, they're champions now. Do they play a little differently? Do they play a little bit more confidently? But, being able to just breathe and not worry about, hey, we haven't won a ring yet. They want to break us up. And they already know their system, how they want to run it, how they want to operate it, launching threes, playing defense. I want to see if that can actually go against the rest of the field healthy. So that's what I'm interested in as far as next season. But this season has kind of been a little underwhelming for me.
Yeah, definitely. You hear the talks of easiest path to the championship. I agree though. It's no fault to the Celtics. They just played the cards that they was dealt ultimately, and JB and JT, they finally got over that hump as a duo. The Celtics finally got that chip that's been eluding them for some time now. So for me, I like you said, I'm looking forward to see how next year will Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, will they elevate their play? We already hearing talks of like the Celtics want to extend Derek White and Jason Tatum, so then that whole starting lineup is gonna be extended. With the addition of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, everybody they want to lock them up long term. Al Horford's coming back for another year. So I do think like a chance to repeat is in the cards for them, but we also got to see how the offseason shakes out. Speaking of offseason, well, let me backtrack a little bit. The Celtics took this in 5, and your Finals MVP was Jaylen Brown. There's a lot I could say to that, but I'm gonna just let that one slide by. And then your Finals MAP, most annoying player, has been Jason Tatum, most definitely thus far. He's been the subject of a lot of ridicule these past couple of days with his "we did it" and his posing. It seemed like everything the man do, uh, you know, is causing a lot of commotion online. So, what are your thoughts on, Jaylen Brown one getting the Finals MVP, and then Tatum coming out on the other end of this, almost like becoming like the most hated player right now?
I would say as far as the Finals MVP, I would say, Jaylen Brown to me deserved it. Especially really watching that last game, how he made Luka very uncomfortable. And there is two sides to the floor. I still stand by what I say when I say I feel like Jason Tatum is still the better player. But this playoff run and definitely these finals, I would say Jaylen Brown deserves it. I thought it was closer than I think the votes were. I think the voting was 7-4. I would have gave it probably the 6-5. And honestly, I wouldn't have been mad if either they had to split the MVP or they gave it to somebody like Drew Holiday, because every time that it seemed like they needed that push or that spark, it was Drew Holiday. So I wouldn't be mad at that either. Now, as far as Tatum goes, I get it. Once you win, it's like, what can you say? I thought the Jordan commercial after the finals was brilliant, honestly. Like, it looked like sounded like they probably did it maybe a week prior. It wasn't that long, before. You could just tell
Hmm.
by the voice and, it wasn't a voiceover that they were up 2-0, and the way they played, they probably figured they was going to win. But then it was just like, all right, now the comments just keep coming, and he doing all the famous quotes from the people that won finals before, and try to do his KG impersonation and all type of stuff. It's fine, like you say, you won and you're happy and you got over that hump. It's like, I can't knock you now. you know, the comment that he made about, I think it was, Brian Scalabrine asked him about going to Miami after the championship. And, he had they had a lot of hard battles in Miami, and his return comment that was it was always easy. Hey, you just talking. I love you, JT, but, the Heat beat you 2 out of 3, I think, the last 2 out of 3 years. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken.
With a healthy Jimmy Butler, they
With a
two
healthy
and
Jimmy
two
Butler.
after this year, but with a healthy
Yeah,
Jimmy
yeah. I'm
Butler,
not. I ain't counting this year.
yeah,
So this, and even though the year that you did win, it went to Game 7. So
with the
it's
missed
not
game winning shot by Jimmy Butler.
exactly. So it's like, to say that it's easy. You know, I get it. You on that emotional high right now, champagne flowing. All you doing is honestly putting the battery in the back, not only for Jimmy, but for the entire Heat organization. And not only that, other teams. Because, like, players know, like, all right, now he just talking. Nah, it's extra motivation to get shots up or do weights when I don't feel like doing weights. Because now he just talking. And a lot of people feel like y'all got that championship. Not that y'all didn't deserve it, but it was an easy road. So now it's like, okay, not only you got to worry about the Heat, but I'm pretty sure Milwaukee's gonna try to come back strong. Philly,
Sixers.
we'll get into some of their stuff later, but Philly can add a piece. They're gonna be a problem. So it's like, and New York literally got injured at the end, and they was running through things. So it's gonna be quite a tougher road next year. But at the end of the day, they won. So it ain't too much I can say. It just, he on the high horse right now. But it's a heavy fall if they don't try to come back and do what they got to do. So we'll see.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I saw this quote, not long after it happened, I sent it to you, and I was like, come to pod, I'm gonna go in, which I
Hmm.
definitely still can, because the statistics back it up. Against the Heat in the playoffs, Jason Tatum has struggled, more than he has against anybody else. So, I just say that. But then after, a couple of days after he said it, which I think that was what, yesterday? Oh, well, a couple of hours after he said it, I kind of start thinking. I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna be a hypocrite because that's something I feel like Jimmy would say. You know what I'm saying? So like in that respect, I give him the benefit of the doubt. All I'm gonna say is Jason Tatum, if the two teams do cross paths in the playoffs, I don't want you shooting no 9 for 30. I don't want none of that. I want to see you take over the game, not Jaylen Brown. You better than Jaylen Brown, even though y'all saying y'all cool with each other and it's not y'all team. Jaylen Brown ain't talking. Jaylen Brown living life right now. Trust me, he
Facts,
living life right
facts,
now.
facts.
But
Hey, can I just say salute to Jaylen Brown?
right, shout out that man.
Mhm.
On and off the court, that man Finals MVP. But
Facts.
with that being said, like yeah, Jason Tatum going to Miami, celebrating, putting campaigns up in Miami. It's like dang, like Miami really on your mind, huh, bro?
Rent
Like
free.
you know what I'm
Living
saying.
rent
But
free.
I ain't gonna do the talking. I believe that's up to Pat in the front office, and Jimmy come back next year. They got a lot of questions of themselves, but I want to see all this talking get put to action personally. Because one thing about the playoff run, I wasn't convinced, by any series. Like y'all dropped one against Miami without Jimmy, then you dropped one against Cleveland. There was a bunch of games that you could have lost against, Indiana if it wasn't for them being so new to the playoffs. And then, you dropped the ball. Like, yeah, everybody gave y'all the excuse. You want to come back to home and win the championship. I respect it. But like I said, business is business. You should have got it done in four. You really that dominant, get it done in four. But that's just me. But we're going to move on here because the off season is officially kicked off. We got a lot of talking going on. And I can honestly say my co-host must be like a psychic, a Nostradamus, something, because he literally said right after the finals, the Lakers was gonna announce they new coach, and that's literally what happened. JJ Reddick is now your new coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. What are you thinking about this decision? I know we both said we seen it coming, but what are your expectations for JJ and the Lakers?
Um, I think JJ will do well. It's kind of what you define well as. 2 years ago, they went to the Western Conference Finals. They started in the play-in. This year again, they starting to play in. But over the past 2 years, the only team that has beat them is Denver. So maybe on the right matchup in the playoffs, can help them possibly go further this year. Because the Lakers are a solid team. I just think it's going to be more about the personnel and what the Lakers can manage to do between now and the draft or possibly making a trade. Of course, they have LeBron on a player option. Nobody really believes he's going anywhere. I think the key will be kind of to figure out what D'Lo wants to do.
Hmm.
Do D'Lo wants to come back or test free agency? Because with D'Lo opts out, I believe that it might give them a little wiggle room to either possibly explore a trade or see if they can get somebody kind of in that mid-level exception range. But it's going to be personnel, and also can JJ win over the locker room? JJ is great with X's and O's. Like I said, JJ's 4-year player at Duke. I remember growing up watching him. It was kind of one of the most hated college basketball players of all time, and he persevered through that. Seeing signs talking about JJ in every away arena he went to, and he had always had a good temperament. So with that, I think he can handle the being a coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Will the team buy in? I believe LeBron will buy in, but will Anthony Davis buy in? Will the last man on the bench to buy in? Because a lot of people brought up a comparison. I mean, they're far apart, but with Eric Spoelstra, and I think what got the buy-in for Eric Spoelstra is people knew he started from the ground up. he was the one rebounding the basketballs in the video room, doing other things. So by the time he got elevated to that position, it's like he's been in the trenches already. It's a different type of respect that you have for him. Yes, JJ is a former player. He probably gonna be looked side eye at first. You probably only got this job because you tight with LeBron and a podcast and whatever they can come up with. But it's on JJ to get that respect in the locker room, be able to help develop some of the younger players. As far as next season, I see them, same type of position, somewhere between the sixth through maybe ninth seed, possible playing again. But like I said, we all know the playoffs are about matchups, and if they can make a personnel move or two, I kind of like them stepping in their role. To be honest.
Yeah, like going off kind of like what you said, like for me, I know everybody, is talking about, joking about how the Lakers see him as the next Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, but to me, like in the past, as we've seen with all of LeBron's like successful coaches, both with and after LeBron, like your Eric Spoelstras, your Ty Lue's, one, they were great as far as X's and O's, and two, like over time they ended up gaining his respect. So I want to see, like, by the time we get through halfway of the season and they done play some competitive hard games, close games. I wonder where the respect level is gonna be. And I've been seeing the reports how they've been saying that LeBron was completely uninvolved in the decision making, and they got the blessing from AD. Me personally, if I'm JJ Reddick, like that's the first person that, like, you already cool with LeBron. That's the next person I'm going to, because my true belief, the Lakers cannot win another championship if LeBron is your best player in the regular season and the playoffs. It cannot be both. Anthony Davis was brought to LA for a reason, so he's gonna have to carry that load. He's faced a lot of criticism over like his pain tolerance. He got the nickname Street Clothes and all of that. So I feel like if I'm JJ, I wanna figure out a way to unlock that Anthony Davis in New Orleans and really get pieces that fit Anthony Davis. If I'm the Lakers, not LeBron, because LeBron not gonna be doing this much longer. I know they're saying he opting out to get a max contract, but if you really want to win, I feel like either you go find that piece to be your best player, or Anthony Davis has got to be your best player. Like that's how I feel on that.
Yeah, I feel like JJ, because I listen to JJ a lot. When he did a podcast and he called games, I feel like he will feature AD a lot. I feel like the offense will run a lot through AD this year. Braun to playoff ball. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if AD can stay healthy that he's closer to the 30 points, 12 rebounds AD of New Orleans days.
Hmm.
Because I expect him to get featured a lot more. Another thing that's gonna be real important is how the coaching staff is going to get assembled, who they're going to get, especially defensively. I know this. I have a suggestion. I know this guy's kind of got in a little trouble, within the last year or so. But if I was the Lakers, I would call Rondo and add him to this coaching staff, because Rondo, he knows basketball, and two of AD's most productive years. I think it was one. I could be two. It could be two. I could be wrong, but I know he had a dominant year with Rondo, and Rondo is, he knows how to get the ball where it needs to go. He had the experience with the big three, then came over being the backup point guard for the Lakers when they won the championship, and he's also praised for his basketball IQ. I think that's one person that even though he hasn't coached on the NBA level, I think he will be good as far as with helping out with the AD transition, of AD being the more focused player of the offense and going away from Braun, in the sense of kind of letting Braun be your closer. You don't take that role from him, but kind of like, all right, first quarter we run action for AD. We throwing the ball down to AD, picking pop with AD. Like AD needs to be featured and not just one of the people just standing out there in the corner, like he's just a stretch big. Like no, we need the AD to. And one is AD go on a post, go to work, face up, whatever you want to do. This your world. So I think
But it
JJ
starts
will.
with sorry to cut you off, but AD also gotta like when it's time want to play center. There's not a lot of stretch fives, that can play, next to him. But I feel like for him to really start to do that, he gotta play center.
Yeah, yeah, and I think he did that a little bit more this past season. It wasn't so much complaints from what I remember. And also the league is, it's in that transition of, well, we're already here now, but it ain't too many bigs that you got to deal with anywhere outside of Jokic and really Embiid. So it's like he shouldn't even look at it like playing a five. It's like it's positionless anyway. I
Hmm.
just need you to be that defensive player of the year candidate like you've been on defense, and I need the offense to go through you. It's
Right.
your time. They signed you to that extension. Braun only got maybe a couple years. It's time for you to be, carry on. You've been doing a decent job, but it's time for him to go to that next level of being, the next in line for the Lakers bigs in their history. AD need to average close to 30, 12 rebounds, 2.5, 3 blocks, and get into that MVP. Because before Giannis came and took it, like everybody thought AD was gonna be the best player in the
AD was the
world at
next
one
guy.
point.
Yeah.
So, injuries and things happen, but AD talent. I remember when Giannis was going on the crazy, and I'm going off the rails, but I remember when Giannis had a crazy little streak, and Lakers rolled into town. I think into Milwaukee without LeBron, I think, and AD gave it to him.
Hmm.
Like, and the Lakers won. Like, that's AD. Like, if he really
Yeah.
had that same motor 65, 70 plus games a year, AD can legit win MVP. Like, he got that type of talent. So I would like to see it. And I think JJ is going to really put it up, put it to perspective that he needs the ball, you know, that you
Right.
can't just
And
float out there on offense.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I too actually remember one game where it was the same thing. No LeBron, they go into Philadelphia and it's AD versus Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could like it was an even match. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't put AD in that conversation anymore because he either injured or he don't. Some nights he'll give you, you know, 35 and 16, and then other nights he'll give you 9 and 9. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like, but going back to your point about potential assistant coaching candidates, it was reported per the Athletic that could include former head coach and recent Trailblazers assistant Scott Brooks, former Lakers guard Rajon Rondo, who has a relationship with both LeBron and AD when they won a championship together, ex-Laker and current Mavs assistant Jared Dudley, who again, played with LeBron and I think AD as well, and Sam Cassell, who just won a championship with the Boston Celtics. So I feel like if they get all those guys, people who won, you know, won it before and done it, for years and actually know these guys in there, I feel like, and then you surround JJ with that, who is good in X's and O's, and they can all manage the personalities. I feel like the Lakers would be fine. It's a tough Western Conference, but I feel like they can do it. Moving forward though, we actually have some other coaching news on the other side, in the East. The lowly Detroit Pistons, man, they under new leadership and they decided to fire Monty Williams after giving them the bag last offseason. Do you think after the season that they had, this was the right choice?
Um, nah, it was definitely not the wrong. I mean, not the right choice. I don't understand what their expectation was for Monty Williams. Like, you've been the worst team pretty much in the league for previous years before he got there, and you pretty much had the same roster plus whatever you drafted last year. It ain't like you drafted a cornerstone franchise player, so I don't know what you expected. But one of the problems with the league, in my opinion, is they don't count the coach's salary against the cap.
Hmm.
And it's like, as a player, and I get what players saying, it's like, how can you come to me and tell me, yeah, I need to take less to fit in a certain, no, because but if it count against the cap, no, you have to stick it out like you have to stick it out with certain players. So it's
Right.
like, I mean, I don't think Monty cares. I mean, even though, I'm pretty sure he enjoys being a coach. But if you're gonna pay me $65 million to stay home,
Sign me up.
sign me up twice on Sunday. So it's like, I mean, but Monty does look like, he loved the coach. I mean, it's a messed up situation, but I mean, Detroit really has to really reevaluate where they are trying to go as a franchise, because when you bring who else you gonna bring in there? And they're not gonna do nothing this year. So what, you gonna fire somebody else again next year? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if I was an assistant coach or somebody coming up from the college ranks, would I take the job? Probably, because they're gonna pay me more than what I'm getting paid now. But I know I'm gonna go up there and lose. Like, we're not winning. Like, unless they're gonna tank again and try to get Cooper Flag next year. Shout out Cooper Flag. But
Nah.
it's like
Hey,
it's like,
hey.
where are you going?
The one
So
thing I will say, the Pistons do not need to tank no more. Like, if this draft lottery is not an example, and then last year was not an example, like, they be the worst team and they can never get the number one pick. So, like, to me, the tanking got to be over with. But to go off what you said, now I would have liked to see Monty stick it around for at least like another year, because I feel like two things. One, they didn't have enough shooting around those guys. Like, they were trying to make people who aren't knockdown shooters knockdown shooters. Like, Jaden Ivey ain't a knockdown shooter. Isaiah Stewart, even though he's starting to shoot the three ball, he's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. So when they actually went in and got people like Fontecchio and Quentin Grimes, like, okay, they starting to realize, like, we need more shooting on the floor to help these guys. So I would have liked to see with, like, whoever they bring in on the offseason, because they trying to, pay vets to come there, Tobias Harris, for example. So I would have liked to see Monty with that.
I'm sorry. But Tobias used to play there too. That's
Yeah, he
fine to
did.
play. Yeah.
But I would have liked to see Monty, like, at least, get a fair chance coaching a more well constructed roster. But then on the my second point though, on the opposite end of that, Monty was making some questionable decisions. Now he was starting Killian Hayes over Jaden Ivey. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't like, he was without fault in this, but at the same time, ain't no saving the Pistons.
They were gonna lose anyway. It doesn't matter who's in the start lineup.
Yeah. No,
Just
I
if they
definitely
drafted
I feel hey,
LeBron and try to put him in 6 man, then you got me. But it's like, yeah,
yeah. Nah, they, you know, hopefully, because what happened to them losing all them games in a row, being having the longest losing streak in NBA history,
mm,
that's bad. That's bad. But yeah. Speaking of the Pistons, they got the number 5 pick in this upcoming draft. Draft set to air. Well, we got a 2-day draft now, which is crazy, but I respect it. Got to get that money, NBA. Pass them over here. Uh,
true.
But we got a 2-day draft, so I wanted to get into a little draft predictions. Do you feel like the script? Do you got the NBA script? Do you think what's gonna happen?
Honestly, I don't. I tried. I do a little research on the draft, but it's so lackluster for me for this draft. So I don't even want to read the script, because I'd probably get mad if it play out the same if it play out the way it's on script. So I try to leave this alone. I'm trying to find a way to be surprised.
See, me, I think I got the script, man. I think
Mm,
I got the script. So I think Alex Sarr will go number 1, even though we hearing all these rumblings that Atlanta hasn't worked him out. They're thinking of taking Zachary Rizashe. First of all, Atlanta don't need to ruin no more wing players. Like, we done had Cam Reddish, DeAndre
true.
Hunter, AJ Griffin, Sadiq Bey. Like, stop with the wing players, bro.
That's
Just
that's
stop.
true. That's
But
true.
that's my opinion on that. I also am gonna predict that the Lakers will take the two most polarizing players in this draft. So they will take one, Bronny James, a surprise to nobody, and I also think with the 17th pick, they will take Zach Edey. Why? Because it's the Lakers. They like doing that type of stuff. And then I feel like as far as who's gonna win the draft, I'm gonna say the San Antonio Spurs. I feel like they got the number 4 pick. It's potential for them to trade up to number 1, take Alex Sarr. They got the number 8 pick. I think they're gonna do a lot of things to affect this draft. And then as my final prediction, I predict that no All Stars. I repeat, no All Stars will be traded during this draft. We
Mm.
hear this every year and it never happens. So I predict that no All Stars will be traded during this draft. Your thoughts on all those predictions?
I can't contest none of those. But you know what? Honestly, I got one prediction for you. It's not gonna be popular. It might be a little because it's gaining some steam lately, from what I heard. But I predict that unless the Lakers try to move up in the second round, they're not getting Bronny. I think somebody's gonna purposely draft Bronny because the whole notion of we're only going to work out with two teams. We're doing this for a reason. I think behind the scenes, Rich Paul is either trying to angle him to go to Lakers, at worst Phoenix, because there won't be the expectations. If you go to Phoenix, you can possibly, you know, be a bench player. They already got a three-headed monster. So if you did get on the court, you just out there to space the court, play defense. I get the Phoenix situation. Honestly, that would be a lovely spot for Bronny, I believe, to kind of.
They only got one pick, and that's in the first round. I don't think they use it on him. If they do, they foolish. No disrespect to Bronny. No disrespect to Bronny, but come on now. Like,
That sound like hate, but
I'm
no.
not. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But no. Jokes in
You.
all
I was
seriousness,
gonna
no.
say, damn
No.
well he ain't no first round pick, bro.
No, I said no. I never said I didn't predict him go first round. I'm just saying, in all seriousness, I think, and some people still angling maybe Braun with a play option, and free agency is after the draft, so still up in the air. We know he's not going anywhere, but I'm just saying everybody doesn't think the same way. I predict because I think they're up in like 55th or 53rd, somewhere in between that. The Lakers in their second pick. I don't think he lasting that long in the second round. I honestly don't.
See, but
I
this my
honestly
thought
don't.
process. This my thought process. This why I said they're gonna take him because I truly believe that they gonna try to offload Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt, and I feel like in order to do that, they're gonna try to trade up, for like they pick and maybe one of those guys to get Bronny, just to make LeBron happy.
Well,
That's that's
nobody.
that's what I think.
Number one, nobody wants Gabe Vincent. That's number one. Number
Come on,
two,
don't do that.
yeah,
Don't
nobody
do
wants
that.
Gabe. No, nobody wants Gabe Vincent. That's
Don't do.
Kendrick Nunn 2.0.
Oh
Um,
man, shout out K
Vanderbilt,
Nunn.
I
He
like that.
balling.
No, Vanderbilt had an injury, but defensive player, I get it. Yeah, nobody wants Vanderbilt. I just think the Lakers will have to make a move. I don't think he's going to be just sitting there in the 50s in the second round. That's just my personal opinion. Just not because of what he can do right now. Just he comes with headlines. It's kind of like the Tebow effect in football. Like it's like, yeah, I want to draft him, but if I'm a franchise that's not getting ticket sales and it's like if I'm Detroit, we just talking about Detroit. If I'm Detroit and I got to pick second round 37, 38, they call in, brother. I want that guy from USC, Bronny James, because you already know ticket sales, jersey sales, whether he play or not, it's gonna be some intrigue. So it's like I don't think he lasts into the 50s in the second round. That's just my personal opinion, and that's my prediction
Mm-hmm.
on that. The Lakers gonna have to trade up somewhere in between the 31st pick and maybe the 45th pick, maybe, or 40th, somewhere in between there. They're gonna have to make a move to jump that far. I'm telling you, he's not lasting to the 50s. And if he does, it's because Rich Paul said he not gonna sign, or they not gonna play, or they're gonna go overseas. Like he gonna do something where they're gonna do the scares tactic. But if just from business when people get picked in the second round never play. Listen,
Yeah.
but if I can make a couple dollars off you, this is America. This is business. At the end of the day, it's always about business. Can you make $1 for me? That's America. So if I was the GM, if I was the owner, and I was in Detroit or Charlotte or else, they'd be struggling to sell tickets.
Yeah.
Anywhere they struggling to sell tickets, I'm picking them. Just saying. Utah, we getting them out there. First plane. I'm sending my jet to them.
I could definitely see Utah doing that. I ain't even gonna lie.
I'm just saying. I wouldn't be.
Danny
I
Ainge
wouldn't.
on that type of time.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised.
But
And
no, I
now they
definitely.
got to negotiate for me to trade him. Now I want a little bit more than what he's worth. How about that?
I can see
Just
that
saying.
happening. I can
Just
see
saying.
that. But speaking of player movement and trades, we got a little shocking trade. I remember the past couple of weeks I said Giddey for Levine or something like that, but it was actually the Chicago Bulls trading Alex Caruso for Oklahoma City Thunder's Josh Giddey. What is your thoughts on this trade?
Honestly, I love it for OKC. I
Yeah,
think like just to add Crusoe and his defense ability, he don't need the ball. He can space the floor at times and shoot. I think OKC is really really building something, you know, over there to the point where they kind of got their feet wet with the playoffs this year. I think this move definitely upgrades them, especially when you get into like say matchups in the playoffs, and it's like they had to put Dort, Luca, and if they had Caruso, you put Caruso on Kyrie. Like you can do a little bit more with your matchups. He got a veteran presence in the championship before. I really love that move with Caruso going to OKC.
what about the other end?
That's another team that needs attendance. So Bulls draft Barney James, number 6. I think they can't wear 6 no more because of Bill Russell. But yeah, Bulls, they're another team. You don't know where they're going. They're talking about Giddey, giving the ball to Giddey for him to run the team, playmate. It's a great opportunity for Giddey. I don't know where they leave Lonzo Ball.
Put that boy up in
So
Chirac.
hey, listen. Sometimes if you think you're an all-star or you got that potential, sometimes you got to go to a franchise that really don't have nothing and they willing to give you the ball and say take us there. So I love it for Giddey as an individual player, but Chicago not doing nothing. So I mean, OKC won the trade by a landslide. But now I really feel for Lonzo because, like I say, injuries. He was having a very productive first half of the season. I think Chicago was like number 2 in the conference when he had went down with his knee injury. And Lonzo looked like he was finally playing free and kind of being that point guard that a lot of people projected him to be, um, being second overall in that draft. But I just kind of I kind of wonder where he's going to end up at, because it look like the Bulls going to either try to trade him or buy him out. But OKC, they get an A+++ for me with that
If
trade.
Lonzo get bought out, would you take him, being that he got a meniscus implant?
On minimum deal, yeah. On Batman that he got to prove himself, yeah, he got potential. If it
Yeah,
don't work out,
two way.
yeah. No, I wouldn't disrespect him with 2A, but
No,
um,
I'm saying he got two-way potential.
oh yeah, definitely got 2A potential. That's what, like on the Batman because we see a lot of times where it's a prove a year for certain veterans, and they'll take a minimum deal here, like Derek Jones Jr. did with the Mavericks. But he's
Hmm.
slated to get paid, so sometimes it works out. But yeah, I would give him Batman. you know, bring him in training camp, see, how healthy, the knee actually is. And you strike gold, one man trash, hopefully it's another man treasure. But outside of that, hey,
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. Like you said, I love the trade for OKC. As far as Chicago, I don't know what the hell they doing. Like,
yeah,
uh, Kobe White was second in most improved player of the year, and now like you gonna bring Giddy in. Not saying Kobe can't play off the ball, but he, as we seen when Levine went out and Kobe was the point guard, he did way better with the ball in his hands. So getting
Mm-hmm.
somebody to take the ball out of his hands, hey, I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You know, I rock with P Giddy, but at the same time, like it's just from a fit perspective, it's interesting to see because the whole reason he ain't really fit in OKC because Shea needed the ball. So
Yeah.
like if Kobe and DeRozan need the ball because
Oh,
DeRozan is more of a DeRozan.
DeRozan, he ain't going back. DeRozan a free agent. He ain't going back though.
Even if they offer him that money that they said they was
I
gonna
ain't
offer him,
going back there. Listen, I just lost for the last 3 years. I ain't going back there.
where he gonna go? The
If
Lakers?
if PG leave, he go to Clippers. That's
Oh,
later in the subject, but down the line. But it's a very real possibility that PJ can leave, and that will open up a roster spot. He's an LA kid. I don't know if you saw the Ken and Friends pop out concert, but he was
of
up there
course I
crip
did.
walking on stage. He's an LA kid, so he could definitely go to the Clippers if PG leave. I can see him
I'm about to
and do this
bring out
pretty
my
much the same
flag.
thing.
No,
Hey, he can do
I'm
the
joking. I ain't affiliated. I ain't
yeah,
affiliated.
he's not quite the 3-point shooter that PG is, but he could definitely slide in and do most of the same things PG did over there in LA. So that'd
Nah,
be if I was him, I'd be hoping PG leave so I can go that way.
a James Harden and DeRozan backcourt is disgusting. Respectfully.
Trust me, it ain't gonna be DeRozan fault.
Hey.
Just saying.
But with all that being said, speaking of LA, moving on to the W, man. We got some sad news coming out of LA. Cameron Brink, ACL injury. She gonna be out for some time, man. Sending a get well soon to that. Yeah, to her. Uh, you know, I'm pretty sure she'll come back, better than ever. But she was my pick to win Rookie of the Year. But despite all of that, sending a get well soon. Also in the WNBA, we got the release All-Star votings. The first returns. You got Asia Wilson at number 1, and then Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston at number 2 and 3 over Breanna Stewart. Over Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, Nafisa Collier, and Inyeka Ogwumike. Some notable names there. You got Angel Reese at number 7. Kelsey Mitchell at number 18. Jewel Lloyd, number 21. Alyssa Thomas, number 20. And Kayla McBride at rounding out the top 30 All-Star voting at number 30. Shout out Kayla McBuckets. Go Lynx. But any complaints? We
Mm-hmm.
got Caitlin at number 2.
I mean, it's an All-Star game. I mean, it's who the fans want to see, and right now she's the
Who
top
they
of
want to see?
that's who they want. She's the top of the WNBA. I did like that Asia Wilson remained number 1 because it shows that people that were voting, they also recognize who's the best right now. But like I say, I can't hate on it. I mean, she's selling out. The Indiana Fever they have to move their games, you know, to NBA arenas because they selling out the original arenas that they were scheduled to play in. You usually see that with high school kids when they get to a point where they're like the number 1 recruit in the nation. Like when LeBron was in high school and he'll go to a certain place and then they have to move it to a college arena or somewhere else because they can't fit a high school gym. But she has that type of popularity right now. And hey, like I said, once again, it's a business. Somehow, some way, she will end up on that All-Star team, I believe, whether she deserves it or not, because they they want them eyeballs to the WNBA All-Star game.
I just think it's funny because like all 5 starters for the Indiana Fever is in the top 30s in votes, So that tell you where everybody's eyes have been. And
Mm-hmm.
then they have 6 players in total in the top 30. And also, I didn't mention it, but Kate Martin, former teammate of Caitlin Clark when they was in Iowa, plays for the Las Vegas Aces, is slotted in at number 12 over Inyeka Ogwumike, DeWanna Bonner, and Jonquel Jones. So like that just goes to speak of like the popularity of the new age, you know, in women's basketball. Um, but to me, I don't have no problem with the fan voting. It's the fan vote to what they want. Uh, it's just funny to me. Like they got 6 of the Indiana Fever players on there. But other than that, it is what it is. We'll see. I have more, judgment if, the All-Star teams turn out, disrespectfully. Then I have something to say. But right now, votes is just voting. I remember that one time. Who was it? Zaza Pachulia was about to make the All-Star
Yeah,
starters.
that was wild. That was
Yeah,
wild. You
like
know,
so I can't really say nothing. But we're gonna get into a new segment here on the podcast. We in the fourth quarter of the pod, and we call it crunch time. In crunch time, we just gonna pick a topic. I'm gonna name out, some things, and my brother gonna give his response to it. So today's topic, off-season movement. So I'm gonna name a player, and he's gonna say whether they stay or leave, and give a quick reason why. Number one on the clock, Paul George. It's been said that, we saw Embiid flirting with him. We thought, things were going to go through with the 76ers, knowing that, things ain't clicking up with the Clippers right now. But it seems like the Sixers have waned on the idea of Paul George coming to Philadelphia. So Paul George, staying with the Clippers, or you see him going to a new team?
I see Paul George going to the Sixers. I actually like the fit of Paul George being on the Sixers, playing off Embiid, playing off Maxey. Kind of in a sense creating a big three because right now with the cap and the league rules, you can't really create a big three. But the Philadelphia has a way of doing it where Maxey won't be as costly at first, I believe, until like year 3. I think the way they can sign him. So it's like you can kind of see if it works before it's like you're going to the luxury tax and things of that nature and find a way to build out the rest of the roster. But I think those 3 players could really play well off each other and B can stay healthy, which that's always a question mark. I think they can really make some noise in the East, but I think he's gone.
All right. So Paul George gone to the Philadelphia 76ers. Klay Thompson recently unfollowed all the Warriors related pages on IG, playing for Team Bahamas. It's reported that the Warriors didn't offer him an extension contract. Klay Thompson staying with the Warriors are gone.
I believe Klay Thompson is gone. I think it'd be great for both parties to split at this point. If they sign him back, they're gonna be in luxury tax or close to it. Not be able to add anybody else, and I feel like Clay could use a fresh start and bring championship experience to like another organization, like maybe the Magic. But I believe Klay Thompson is going.
Klay Thompson gone. Brandon Ingram, subject of a lot of trade rumors recently, it's looking like the Pelicans are looking to move off of him. Do you think it will actually happen?
Yeah, Brandon Ingram was going yesterday. But no, I think he's another player that I think it can use a split. The organization can use it, and he can use it as well. I just think the way their team is constructed, he's not really a 3-point shooter, and most of his baskets in the paint. I think they have a serious spacing issue, and I think he can be better or possibly fit better on a different team. And I think New Orleans is going to try their hardest to find where for him to go and for them to get a few assets for him. But yeah, he's gone.
Okay. 3 gone so far. Zach LaVine at his lowest trade value right now. Bulls just moved off of Caruso. They did not get any picks in return. Zach LaVine gone.
Zach LaVine's staying, and I think partly because nobody else wants him. I think the talent is there. Yeah, you could probably get him for the lowest you probably can get him for now, but the contract is an issue. Plus the injuries, knee issues. I don't think you take on that contract with the year he just came off of. Honestly, 2 years in a row, and it's not like he's coming from a winning situation or he's always come from a winning situation. Like Zach LaVine teams that he's been on have usually either been in the lottery or barely scratching to make the playoffs. So it's like, what are you really trading for? So I think by default he stays.
Oh, stay. That's interesting. Um, Moving on here. It's been rumored that Doc Rivers really wants to change up the roster and how the defense is played around Giannis and Dame. He wants to make some changes. As a side note, this is so crazy because literally when Adrian Griffin was trying to do it, they got the man fired. But anyways, back to original thing. Brooke Lopez said to not be in those future plans. Brooke Lopez gone or staying?
That's a good one. I think he leaves. I think they go more towards, I don't call it a youth movement, but they're gonna. I think defensively they're gonna try to get a little bit more mobile on the back end. Um, so I don't think they resign him. I think he's pretty much going. You can have Portis play a lot of center minutes even if he doesn't start. He can also he stretch the floor, more mobile. So I think Brooke is going.
All right, Cleveland Cavaliers. We heard JB Bickerstaff comments about Luka, how he was so tough and brave for playing through injury. Shot at Jared Allen. Then talks about Darius Garland. We don't know what Spider Mitchell's gonna do, and you have Evan Mobley. Do you see two of any of these 4 players being traded?
I don't see them getting rid of course, not Mobley. I don't really see them getting rid of Jared Allen, but I do think one of the two of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell will be in a different uniform next year. I don't think, me personally, I don't think the backcourt works. I mean, I'm hoping it's Donovan Mitchell, but I also see it being Darius Garland. But yeah, I think the odd man out would be Darius.
Okay. Last question of the day. The Ringer reported that Jimmy Butler's time in Miami is definitely coming to an end. They expect him to be traded before the start of next season. And Brian Windhorst came out and said Jimmy Butler ain't going nowhere. Jimmy Butler staying with the Heat or gone.
Jimmy ain't going nowhere. Jimmy ain't going nowhere. Like I said, I think I probably touched on this in a previous pod, but the only way I can see Jimmy leaving is if the team stays the same and they're kind of limping their way through towards All-Star break. And at that point, do you try to get assets for Jimmy? That'll be the conversation, a tough conversation, but that'll be the conversation. Like I said, we all know with Heat culture, things get said, but that's just what it is. I don't think all front offices would seriously consider trading Jimmy at this point because it's like for what and what is that saying for the season? It's a couple college players that I like. So if you was to tell me we're trading him and we're gonna tank, that's a tough sell. But like I said, with the draft lottery, there's no assurances that you're gonna get anybody.
The
So
Heat
that's
ain't tanking.
no, I know that's not in the Heat culture. I get it, but I'm just saying if they tried to do it without doing it, and we know it's not gonna happen, that'd be a tough conversation for myself. But Jimmy ain't going Jimmy ain't going nowhere. Jimmy will definitely be in the opening lineup. First game of the season. I'm just curious of what's going to be around him. As a player that I won't name. If you watched the previous podcast, you probably heard me say his name, but I ain't going to mention his name today because I'm not going to choose violence. But I hope he's not on the roster. Jimmy ain't going nowhere.
All right. With that said, we at the buzzer. It's been crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. And before we head on out of here, anything you would like to say to the lovely people today?
Hey, I just want people out there watching this podcast to like and subscribe. I hope everybody out there is blessed and doing things that they wish and dream and hope that they want to do in life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And not only to like and subscribe, but share and comment as well. Follow us on all your podcast platforms. I'm your host, Ron the Don. He is my co-host, the Drunken Master, Ty. We out.
Trip forever and I'm just not getting started. That's the one. Yeah.